Men are naturally more attractive than women on average. That's why women need makeup. These are the words of American streamer Asmongold. Now, when I first read this tweet, I was like, oh my god, does he have a point here? What would make anyone make this statement anyway? Does he just naturally prefer men? He did say, this is not me being gay, it's science. Okay, if it's science, there has to be some theory out there supporting this claim, right? I had to go do some research, and that was when I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, this is sexual dimorphism. Now, I'm not going to explain sexual dimorphism like I am your biology teacher. I'm just a student like the most of us watching this video. I'll call it SD from now on. SD is simply when there is a physical distinction or difference between the male and female of a particular species. For example, the extreme coloration of one sex of a bird or the size difference between different sexes of a species. And as Asmongold said, peacocks, peafowls is one of the most elaborate examples of SD. Why is that? Well, peahens, they look like normal birds who just go about their day finding food and taking care of their young. On the other hand, the peacocks look like they all have a secret designer that puts custom stickers on their feathers, because you cannot tell me there is a good reason for peacocks to look like this. What is the point? Even Darwin was confused at first as to why peacocks had such an extravagant tail, but this led him down a path. We all know Charles Darwin as the father of evolution, and he discovered what we know as natural selection. Well, natural selection is the evolutionary process where the species who can adapt best to their environment tend to survive more and give birth to more offsprings like them. But in order for Darwin to explain why SD was present in different species like birds, amphibians, reptiles, and even mammals, he had to come up with sexual selection. Unlike natural selection, where it is the environment that decides who gets to live or who dies in misery. In sexual selection, Darwin believed that it was the female that typically served as the ultimate judge on whose genes get passed on to the next generation. So if every woman in the world decided to start mating with only me, the future generations will be looking more like this. Yes, I am a supermodel. I am definitely not choked. This particular concept would lead to lots of debates amongst evolutionary biologists like Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace, but we would get to that later in the video. To explain sexual selection further and how it relates to the claims of Asmongold about how an average man mugs an average woman, sexual selection is basically an evolutionary process where one sex is in competition with each other in order to mate with the opposite sex. Just imagine you're in a class and for some reason you and 3 other of your classmates all have a crush on one girl. If one of you get to hit just because they were the best looking guy or the funniest, that's sexual selection. Now, there are 2 types of sexual selection: the intersex selection and the intrasex selection. Wait, hope you're not thinking of clicking off. If you click off this video, I'll bite you. I swear to God, if you click off this video, I'll bite you. Moving on. Intersex selection is when the female chooses the best male to mate with. There are several reasons why they choose a certain male to mate with and not the other. I'll list a few. They instinctively think the male is more healthy. They instinctively think the male can take care of their young. They are attracted by the aesthetics of that male. Now, Darwin believed that certain animals had appreciation for aesthetics. That's why they chose their mates. But Wallace rejected this, saying animals simply don't have the brains to process aesthetics like humans do. The way we see gold and diamonds as pretty is not the same way animals see them. He believed that the ornamental features of one sex, let's say the brightness of the peacocks, showed that he had good and healthy genetics, and the reason the female don't have the bright feathers like the males is because they need to stay in their nests, which helps them with camouflage and protection from predators. The peahens evolved to protect their offspring, while the peacocks evolved as mate finders. The males go out to find women to hit on, and the peahen, she instinctively chooses the guy she thinks is the most healthy and strong. And a major sign of health in peacocks are brightly colored tails and larger body size. On the other hand, we have the intersex selection. This is when the males compete with each other to see who can bag the most and form their own harem. In a lot of cases, the best male would eliminate or deny the others access to play, so only his genes get passed on to the next generation. So it's basically who can keep the most women. A prime example of this are red deers. The male red deer has the ability to grow antlers, while the females don't need to do that because they are not selfish little pricks. Okay, that was a joke. They don't do that because this particular sex don't see the need for intersexual selection. This is just how they evolved. Now, there's a plot twist. There is a term called reverse sexual dimorphism. This is when instead of the men being the larger, more colorful ones, it is actually the woman. A prime example of this is the phalarope bird. I don't know if it's phalarope or whatever. In this species, instead of the women to take care of their young, they leave the kids with the men and go and find more men to mate with. So this time, it's the man being the picky ones. And guess what? They are the ones who are less colorful and smaller because all they worry about is taking care of the kids and camouflaging in the nest, just as Wallace has previously suggested. So this time, it is the male phalarope bird that is the ultimate judge in the sexual selection of their species. So when Asmongold made a claim that according to science, males on average mugs women, the thing is, science is not black and white. Species have different behavioral patterns. In some species, the women are the pickers. In other species, the men are the pickers. And depending on the species, the sex that is more colorful and bigger is the sex that competes for attention, not the sex that is more beautiful. So the reason why humans are sexually dimorphic is not because men mugs women on average. From an evolutionary biology stance, it is because men competed with each other and they had to do more, they had to grow stronger, while women mostly stayed reserved and took care of their offspring. Not because it's the best way or anything, but that is how humans instinctively chose to evolve. Don't get me wrong, in fact for humans, this is not as extreme as it is with other mammals, as the size difference between an average man and woman is 15 to 20%. So yes, we might be sexually dimorphic, but it's nowhere close to the difference mammals like the elephant seals give themselves. This is why the human population has very diverse gender roles. In some civilizations, women were allowed to farm, hunt, fight in wars, and in others, women weren't allowed to do physical, demanding activities.
Get back in the kitchen.
The male human didn't grow so much larger than the females because humans didn't only compete, but we cooperated, we worked together to build. Heck, sometimes it is the woman that initiates the courtship. Father takes care of the kid, so does the mother. Sure, men competed from time to time, but I will say this, humans have cooperated more than we have competed with each other. If you're still here and you enjoy content like this, please support me and like the video. Asmongold also said, Greek statues dedicated to the peak aesthetic form overwhelmingly male. Isn't it funny that despite the fact Asmongold here said that he wasn't being gay, and then he used one of the most historically homosexual civilizations to prove his point? So because a civilization built more male statues than females, that means men on average look better than women. The fact he looked over the fact that men on average are in no way born with a built chest and six-pack. Not even the average man look like those statues, because those statues weren't even about average men, but mostly about athletes and Greek gods. They wanted to represent their gods, and they thought the best way to represent powerful beings was by an athletic and aesthetically pleasing body, not an average body. You had to be an alpha male giga-chad gym athletic bro to pull up with that physique. I can even argue that there is a higher chance for a Greek goddess statue to look like your average woman than a Greek god statue has. Asmongold had a better chance with the peacock argument, but this is crazy. This is a society that was predominantly ruled and influenced by men. That is also why their statues were overwhelmingly male. Finally, the makeup argument. Women need to wear makeup because men would mug them on average. This is like saying men work out because women have better looking bodies on average. Spoiler alert. that both are subjective and all depend on personal preferences. The problem with Asmongold's statement here is not the statement itself, but how he is stating it to be universal truth. We know the case of makeup is not true because makeup is not only for aesthetics, it is also cultural. Your society or civilization will determine the type of makeups you wear or even have access to. You think Native Americans wore makeup or the face paints just because they wanted to look good? To them, it was culture. It was tradition. The Indians put a red dot on their forehead. It was a spiritual practice for them and not just for beauty or aesthetics. The pharaohs wore eyeliners and most of them were men. Makeup has been part of human civilization for a very long time and is not exclusive to only women. To answer the question, no, Asmongold was not right. If you think men look better than women on average, that's up to you. But according to science, as Asmongold wanted to quote, it is not a fact. Comparing colorful male birds to a human male and saying it's proof that men mug women on average is false equivalence, because there are also female animals that look bigger and more colorful than their males. The way animals see aesthetics or appreciate it is not the same way humans do. Wallace believed thinking so was anthropomorphic. Oh my god. Okay. It was anthropomorphic. English is hard. As for the Greek statue and makeup arguments, we all know it's bullshit. If you don't agree, it's fine. Believe what you want. Please drop your opinions in the comments. I would love to read them. A very big thank you to my former subscribers, and I welcome the new ones. Please check out this video over here.